Are you moving to Spokane and trying to decide which neighborhood is for you? Today we're exploring Indian Trail, every single subdivision in this area, the schools, the restaurants, everything you need to know about this area to decide if this is where you want to call home. So stick around, we're checking out a lot of the area, so stay tuned. If you like this one, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as I'm releasing videos on Spokane every single week to help you decide if this is the place for you. Now, a few things that I love about Indian Trail right off the bat. I think this is one of the best neighborhoods in fall. You're gonna see some beautiful colors in this video because we get pretty high up and there's actually some pretty affordable view lots that you can get here in Spokane in the Indian Trail area. And you see some absolutely beautiful colors in the summer, or in the fall, excuse me. And you see the sunset every day of the week in some of these neighborhoods. So there's some really cool lots that you can get around here, some really nice subdivisions. This is probably one of the most sectioned out parts of Spokane. Every little pocket was a planned unit development at some point. You can see very drastic changes in the styles of homes that builders came in, built their section and moved on. And so we have a lot of builders to check out. But first, let's get into a little bit about the schools and what there is going on here in Indian Trail. So I think some people think that this neighborhood is really out of the way. It's far away from downtown, which it is one of the further out neighborhoods from downtown. There's no freeway to get down there, so it can take about 20-25 minutes to get back to downtown Spokane. So it is something to consider if you work down there. But the nice thing is that it's kind of secluded and away from everything. And so it's really its own pocket, its own community. You have everything that you need up here in an emergency, or just you forgot something, you need to go get it within 5 minutes. Multiple grocery stores, Starbucks, veterinarian, minor emergency, all those things that you would need in a moment's notice is within 5 minutes from your house. And so that's the cool part, is that you're not away from anything that you're gonna need in a quick decision type of moment. Are you gonna have date night here in Indian Trail? Probably not. You're probably going to spend the time to go down into downtown and go to one of the better restaurants, because there's some cool spots here. JJ's is one of them. It's more of like a sports bar. They smoke their own meats in the parking lot, as you're seeing on the screen here. Adelo's Pizza is great. And so these are great places that you'll be able to stop by on the way home, grab some food, bring it home with you, or just stop in for a quick meal. There's a couple fast food joints, things like that. But if you're going to really go out on a date night, there's not a nicer high-end restaurant around here or anything like that. Depending on which part of Indian Trail that you're in, your kids are either going to go to Balboa Elementary School or Woodridge Elementary School, both that are those are the public schools in School District 81. And then we have Salk Middle School and Shadle High School. So it's a decent drive down to Shadle High School, but it's relatively a straight shot down there. As you'll see, this community has tons of new construction going in. It is growing and growing. I would not be surprised if another new school had to go in at some point. So another cool feature about this neighborhood is that there's actually really good hiking around here if you like to get outdoors. You're only about 10 minutes away from the St. George's Trailhead and the Indian Painted Rocks Trailhead. And then you're also 10 minutes away from where people tend to put in their kayaks to float down the Little Spokane River. So there's really nice access to some nature in that direction. Additionally, the city of Spokane owns a huge chunk of land just on the south side of Indian Trail that I honestly don't know what they're doing with it. There's private roads through there, but I saw people hiking out there. So it's another walking area, houses back up to it. So it's just another little spot to go out for a walk, which is nice that there's so many large green spaces or public land surrounding here. I should mention that Riverside State Park is just a few minutes away as well. But the sidewalk situation in Indian Trail is lacking. There's a few streets that have some decent sidewalks, but for the most part, not a lot of sidewalks in the neighborhood. So you've seen what amenities are here in terms of what you're gonna need on a daily basis, what the nature is like, what some of the just lifestyle is like here in Indian Trail. So now I really wanna focus on the houses. So we're gonna jump in the car, go check out some neighborhoods, and I'm gonna tell you what is here in the area. So let's get to it. All right, so now we get to go through all of the minor sub-neighborhoods of Indian Trail. There's about 11 of them without me going crazy and finding every single addition that has ever been done. And so it's really going to be cool. It's for me to kind of explain every single neighborhood while you guys get to see it while I drive through those neighborhoods as of yesterday. So the first one we're going to start with is Pacific Park. So Pacific Park is where I started this video. It is the one park in the Indian Trail neighborhood. It's really big. It's a really nice place. I've never actually stopped in there before. But the interesting thing about Indian Trail is it's actually the only place in Spokane where you could be more than a 10-minute walk away from a park of any size. And so that sounds like a negative, but Pacific Park is huge for one, has a splash pad, playground, everything you need, baseball diamond. But the city of Spokane actually owns another 29-acre parcel of land at the north end of Indian Trail at Bedford and Indian Trail Road that I believe will be turned into a park here in the next couple of years. And so there will be another huge park on the north end of Indian Trail, which is exciting. But as we're driving through Pacific Park, this area is one of the larger ones on the map. It's kind of a mixed age of houses, 70s to 90s, and a couple new construction thrown in here and there, or maybe some lots that didn't get developed in that time. A lot of split level homes, 450 to 650,000. Continuing just north of there, we enter into the Ponderosa Ridge neighborhood. Now I was just showing a house in this neighborhood, and it is really, really beautiful, much more mature. And I think one of the reasons I love it is because it was developed by Greenstone between 2008 and 2018. If you've been watching the channel for a little while, you know that I am a big fan of Greenstone builders. But this area is about 250 homes or so. They finished this up in 2018, like I said, and the home prices on average about $623,000 in this neighborhood. The low of this last year being $447 and the high being $833, because they have some really small one-level homes with the garage in the back, kind of similar to some of the homes we've seen in Kendall Yards before. And then some others that are two-story homes overlooking the massive view that is Ponderosa Ridge, looking into the 7 Mile Valley. So there's a wide range of housing here, but there's a nice smaller community park. I don't even think the park has a name, but the community itself has an HOA. They throw community gatherings, movie in the park night, community picnic type thing. So it's a really, really nice area. Continuing just north of here, we enter into the D.R. Horton Windhaven community. So this is one of the newer construction ones that's still going on. D.R. Horton's done a nice job of building community a park in this neighborhood as well. Dog park and some walking trails throughout. There's 300 homes going in here through and 5 different home plans. They're about 4/5 of the way done. If you go on their website and look at the map, there's just a small chunk in the northeast corner that is still yet to be developed, and some lots have not yet been released. So this one's definitely more affordable for new construction. Starts in the low 4s and goes into the low 5s, mid 5s. So this one is a good opportunity to buy something new, maybe not a huge house. The floor plans are going to be in the low 2,000 square feet, most likely. So that's just something to consider. And then continuing on north from there, we enter into the Sundance portion of Indian Trail. So we have the Sundance Village, we have Sundance Hills, and we have Sundance Ridge. And so Sundance Village is a 55 plus community. It's really small. It's only 50 homes, and they were all built between 1983 and 2010. They were all built kind of by the same guy, smaller company. So it was really over a 30-year period, one of his lifetime builds, really. So a lot of beautiful homes, 2-story ranchers, kind of main level living, but with basements and the option to live downstairs. A lot of them overlook a cliff as well, have beautiful views. The HOA is $175 a month. That includes ground maintenance, snow removal, and then there's a community pool. And when I zoom in on Google Maps, I can see that I couldn't really find it as I was driving around, and it looks like it's just kind of there's a little trail that goes in between the houses, and it's kind of just planted right in between some of the houses in that community. Sundance Hills, I'm not even sure I got a video of it, but it was just kind of 1950s ranch ranchers built much earlier, and so nothing crazy special, but another extension of kind of the Pacific Park area where it was built a lot earlier and could be more of a place to get into the neighborhood versus be in one of the newer, larger homes or something like that. And then Sundance Hills, I think as well, I missed it. There was so much driving to do that day. But Sundance Hills is where you can spend a little bit more money. Again, large rancher style homes, modern ranchers with basements or daylight basements. And so if you're close to the entrance by Indian Trail, there you could spend as low as $550,000. But there are view lots on the ridge that are upwards of 5,000 square feet with an acre or more going down the cliff, and those could be 1.4 million. So quite a range in Indian Trail so far, as low as like high 300s all the way up to 1.4 million so far. And now there is another Sundance Ridge, which I did drive through. There's a second Sundance Ridge on the other side of Indian Trail, and actually on the south end of North Indian Trail, being built by Toll Brothers. So Toll Brothers is a national builder, relatively new to the Spokane area. Their Seattle office came over to Spokane and bought some lots on the hill and have been building Sundance Ridge. Now, I'm not super sold on this community yet. They've had a hard time selling some of these lots. I felt like the prices were really high for Spokane. The finishes are great. I really like the build quality is, as far as I can tell, really awesome. The lots themselves are not the best. You don't get really any backyard. And from my last conversation with them, it didn't sound like they were finishing the basements. So you're spending high 600s, like 680, 690, sometimes into the mid 7s, and you're not getting a basement with the house. So I think here in Spokane, it was just hard to justify the price. But I think the construction style is welcomed, pretty modern, and I think that's the biggest portion of it that they have is good construction quality and good design. Now, before we head into one of my favorite areas and before we actually really get to see some amazing views in this video, I'm just going to mention a small little community in Indian Trail called Shawnee Canyon Estates. Super small. I think there's only like less than a dozen homes in this little area. It's on your way up to Woodridge, where you're going to see some of these views. You pass a little sign, a little placard that says Shawnee Canyon Estates. And I just decided to go up there, take a little video, see what it looked like. Some really cool homes, very private setting, kind of set literally into a canyon. So it's really winding roads to get up to some of these houses. I definitely felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. So I was just every road was basically a dead end, and I'm like trespassing on these people's property, trying to just get some film for this video. So unlikely that you would end up buying a home there. There's so few houses available. Somebody would just have to be selling, and so I wouldn't plan on it. But it was just a really cool area here in the Indian Trail neighborhood. Next up, we move into the Woodridge section of Indian Trail. We had our bigger section of Sundance, and now we have a really large section called Woodridge, and it's because it was on a ridge and it's very wooded. I think that's where the name came from. But the lower portion of Woodridge, next to Woodridge Elementary School, there was many additions. I could see 1st through 5th pretty easily, but then this builder named McMillan had his additions and all this stuff. I just grouped it all together into one Woodridge addition. But this was primarily built up between the mid 1970s to the early 1990s. Potentially, if you're somebody that's looking to DIY, put some work into their house, this is a good neighborhood to find quality homes that were built in the 70s and 80s, and then be able to do some good solid updates to them and bring them up to that modern standard. And because there's so many more expensive homes in the neighborhood, it's pretty justified to put in some good money and to make it a good job. Just above Woodridge is Woodridge View Estates. And so now Woodridge View Estates was kind of the top echelon. This is where the custom home builders were putting in their homes. D.R. Horton had a small section of it where they were doing some of their more luxury builds. But this was the for a little bit was the top, where we were getting the best views of the sunsets, because the cool thing about being on Indian Trail and being on the ridge is that the sun sets in the west and you are getting a beautiful sunset every single night, because you can see absolutely for miles. And so that's the really cool part about this. And then specifically this time of year, you're about to see it in the next little sub neighborhood. When it's fall, there's a lot of deciduous trees out there. I think deciduous is the right word. It's the ones that change color. And so it is so cool to see just the rows of trees all changing color. You really have an amazing view of that. And so Woodridge Estates along like Weber is one of the main roads there. These are going to be higher end custom homes. Like I said, recently selling for $1.1 million. The low end was about the high sixes, like 675, but great views. But Lennar got their hands on the land just above this one, and so you can actually you can buy into the Woodridge community by Lennar, which is just upward on the hill a little bit more. You can't go any higher than Woodridge by Lennar. So they have a handful of view lots, which you're going to see the view from the top of those right now. I'm trying to get the info on when these are coming available. It's on my list of where I would like to move. It's a super cool view. Most likely from what I'm seeing, these view lots are going to be Lennar's nicest builds, their biggest builds, so it's going to be the biggest bang for their buck. So it's probably going to be at least in the low to mid sixes as starting, but depending on where the market goes and when they start building these, I could see it going up to the 700s as well. But you can be up here in an interior lot and a much smaller house for the high threes. So depending on what your needs are, you can get into this community. And some pros to this community that I think are pretty cool is that even though you're way up on the hill, you got 5 minutes down to the grocery store. I was like, if I move into this neighborhood, I'm just going to get like an electric bike or something, cruise down the hill, go pick up what I need, and then the electric bike will just bring me back up. We're going to have that new park down at the bottom of the hill that I'm talking about in the next couple of years. And then if you are actually surrounded by county land that is miles and miles of hiking trails. So from Indian Trail, you're just about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on where you're at, from St. George's hiking trail and from the Little Spokane River. So you have tons of nature access. But the cool thing is that those trails hike their way all the way up to Woodridge. And so you can actually walk out your community, go into the woods just a little bit, and jump onto the trail. And you have miles of endless hiking back there. And so I think that's really cool that it's just not like they're not even really advertising it, but they own all the land up to that point. And so and it's just there's just electrical lines running back and forth, so nothing's going to be built there. I mean, nobody can really buy the land because you just can't build under the electrical lines, so it's always going to be protected. It's really cool. So I'm a fan of that area up there as a good option. So this was as in-depth as it can get on the sub neighborhoods of Indian Trail. And so you're seeing it all. I'm going to be putting together a resource that I'm going to be working on over the next year called the Most In-Depth Neighborhood Guide in Spokane, Washington. And it's going to have all of these sub neighborhoods, B-roll of this neighborhoods. And so if you're moving here, keep an eye out for it, that I'll be putting that out there. Make sure to drop a comment if you would be interested in that, or you can sign up for our weekly newsletter to be the first to know when it comes out. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you're moving here to Spokane anytime in the near future, make sure to use the link down below in the description to schedule a meeting on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.